Hey guys, the reason I've got the weird hat on today is because I've been tagged. A video game weirdness tag, originally started by Retro Gamer VX, and it's Techromancer1 that has tagged me. And so now we'll get off with the weird hat and on with the weirdness of the tag. Question number 1. What is the strangest place that you've ever played a video game? Well, I've never really played a video game in a strange place. The closest that I came, it was actually before video games, it was actually a pinball game, and it's not a strange place, but it's strange because of the time that I played it, how old I was at the time. Because it would have been over at the Blue Grill, which is a bar and grill, and during the day it's probably nearly as much grill as it is bar, but at night it was definitely more bar than grill. And I first went over there probably when I was 14 or 15, maybe a little bit older than that, but definitely before I was driving. And I had some friends and we went over there and played pinball over there quite a bit. And when I was 17, there were two guys that I hung out with quite a bit over there, Eddie and Randy. And I heard the story from Eddie first, and he wasn't happy about it at all. And then I heard from Randy, and he was really happy about it because Eddie went over to the grill a lot, and Randy a fair amount. And the bartender over there, one bartender, she was a friend of the family of Eddie's. And so she knew to the exact day when Eddie turned 18, and this was back when you was 18, you could get 3-2 beer. And he'd always come in and say, "Hey, give me a beer." And she'd reach down where the beers were, and like she was going to get him a beer, and then she'd bring out a couple of Dr. Pepper. If Randy's there, she'd bring out a couple of Dr. Peppers. And kind of messing with him a little. And so, Randy got into that little, and he went in there one day, and they said, "Hey, give me a beer." And she reached down underneath the counter, and when she pulled it back up, he thought it was going to be a Dr. Pepper, but it was a beer. And he was there drinking it, and when she went away a little bit, Eddie went over to him and said, "Hey, how'd you get that beer?" He said, "You're not 18. And Randy said, "You keep your mouth shut." So Eddie wasn't too happy that Randy was able to drink over there and he wasn't, but and Randy thought it was a kick, so I thought I'd throw that in because that's not really a weird place. I mean, a bar is a pretty normal place to have video games and the like, but but at the time it was, like I say, it was a grill as much as a bar, so it wasn't illegal or anything. It wasn't real questionable, but it was a little unusual, to have kids hanging out in a place like that. Oh, secondly, what is the longest you've attempted to repair a computer or a console non-stop? That'd be about 2 hours. That was my DOS Windows 3.1 machine, and I was deleting some files, and normally I'd use DOS key, which is a keystroke logger, and I'd type in dir in the command and see what files they were, and then I'd use DOS key to bring the the command line back up and change the dir to del, so I knew what I was deleting. And one time I just didn't do that for some reason. I don't know why. Just lazy, I reckon. And I typed in, I wanted to delete all the files in the directory, and I typed in, del star, and I hit enter. And my finger hadn't even come back up off of the enter key, and I realized I was in the Windows directory. I had just deleted all of the files in the Windows directory. Well, DOS in those days had an undelete command, so you could undelete files. And if you just typed in undelete, it would bring the files up. But when you deleted a file, it overwrote the first character of the file name. So with the undelete, you had to tell it what the first character of the file name was. So I went through each file as each file came up, and most of the files I could remember, it was pretty obvious what the first character was. And so I got about 75-80% of them. And then I said, I'd got a couple phone calls during that time period to come down and eat supper. And so I came down. I think I did take enough time to wolf down a little bit of food, as much to get Mom to shut up as anything. And my brother's computer, I loaded it up and had a list of all the file names that I couldn't figure out the first file name for. And with his computer, I was able to get the file names for all but 6 files. And I thought, that's not quite enough. So I thought a little bit more, and I thought, well, some of those look like maybe they're Sound Blaster files for Sound Blaster sound card. And I had a Sound Blaster 16, and my sister, she just got a Sound Blaster 32 for her system. So I said, well, the file names should be the same. So I went down to her computer, and in fact, I think I got a call, and they were having a little bit of problems. And I went down there and helped them with the problems. And while I was down there, I got the file names, and 4 of those 6 files were Sound Blaster files. So I had all but 2 files recovered. And so I had a file editor, and I opened up one of those files, and I looked at some of the contents of it, and I saw that they looked like they were video card drivers or files from a video card. And at the time, I had a Diamond Multimedia video card. So I just took the last 2 files, and since it was for Diamond Multimedia, I entered D as the first file name character, and so I was able to restore the entire contents of the directory. But that is as close as I ever came to trashing the system. Fortunately, I didn't panic, but I was majorly upset. So that's the second question. The third question: have you ever had a nightmare about video games or about games? No, I've never had a nightmare about games at all. And 4, have you ever played a game that was too scary to play? No, I can't say I had a game that was too scary to play. The one game that I was uncomfortable playing and didn't play would have been Wolfenstein 3D. I thought Wolfenstein 3D, I'm not going to say they went over the line, but I thought they came right up to the line in just how realistic they were in portraying the Nazis and the atrocities that the Nazis committed. And that was a little too realistic. And I wasn't real comfortable having that in a game. And more than anything, I wasn't comfortable with the idea that maybe I might get comfortable playing it as a game. So I just never played that. And not to knock it, I don't think they went hugely over the line, but I personally wasn't real comfortable with that. I've never knocked anybody that plays it. I can see why a lot of people would enjoy the game, and maybe I'm reading a little more in it than's what there, but I just wasn't real comfortable at it. So those are my response to the tag. And now who I'm going to tag? Well, first of all, I'm going to tag RPK Game Vids. And this is also going to be a shout out. RPK Game Vids, your tag. And everybody else out there, definitely check out RPK Game Vids channel. It's got some wonderful gameplay videos of games for the N64, the Dreamcast, the PS2. It's got 39 subscribers, I think. I mentioned him in my 50 subscriber video, gave him a shout out, but I'm giving him another one here. Definitely check out his channel. Next, I'm going to tag Maximum RD. Rob, I would have thought surely you'd have been tagged, and you may very well have been tagged, but I don't see a video up. So if you haven't been tagged, I'm tagging you again, and if you haven't, I'm tagging you. And if you have been tagged, it's a tag team now. And then I'm going to go with a third person, Mark Vergier. I'm going to tag you as well with this weirdness tag. And in addition, I'm always going to have an open tag. So anybody's watching this, any subscribers, if you haven't been tagged and you want to jump in and post your own video, by all means consider yourself tagged. And more later.